Hey guys, EST here, and wish I had a cheery video, but I don't. This is a topic that I really haven't heard people talk about, but I will warn you, this is really going to ruin your outlook on stuff, and it might actually worry you for weeks to months to years to forever. So if you find yourself having a lot of anxiety about what could happen, what about this news story, whatever, this is not going to help. I mean, the whole point of being prepared is you're prepared and then you can chill, but a lot of people are they're just perpetually scared of what might happen, and that's what drives it. And I think people need to get over that and live their lives, but also the best way I think what would happen in this scenario. I've been in a situation like this. I've been in a situation like that. I've seen this happen in another country. What if it happened here? I don't lose sleep over it, but I'll tell you, I think about it a lot less where I'm yeah, but I'm set. I'm better off than the next person. And I think a lot of people need to get in that mindset. That said, this even concerns me. When I heard this story, I'm wait a minute. So I tried to find where this happened. I heard this story twice, a long time ago, then I heard it again a couple months ago. I'm man, I gotta put that in a video. So I don't know where this happened, which means I can't verify the details, but I have a pretty good memory. So sometime in world history somewhere, I think it might have been North America, I don't know. Might have been Europe, might have been Australia, I just legitimately don't remember. But somewhere in the 17 or 18, maybe early 1900s, humans decided to settle in a new place and man, these wolves, coyotes, whatever, some kind of small predator, they're really annoying. Let's get rid of them. They're attacking our children, they're threatening us, they're attacking our livestock. We could live here perfectly if it wasn't for them. So they serve no purpose and we gotta get rid of them, right? So they really went after them. I think it was even government funded. They had bounties. And so they drove the population down to 5-10% is the estimates. Well then, deer, caribou, I don't know, kudos. Like I said, I don't remember where this was. Well, that's what they ate. So now they just went nuts with their population, and they started eating a whole bunch of vegetation, natural plants, and they ate their favorite stuff to also near extinction. So then before they could start starving, well, now this thing let this other plant come in, and then, well, this affected the lakes and rivers because this number got out of whack. And then, I think something happened with, the water supply it was, where, now it had some kind of algae, just one thing led to another. And then humans didn't have this resource, it came to them. Who cares what's going on in the forest, right? As long as it doesn't affect my farm and whatever. But it started affecting humans at one point. And I think a bunch got, poisoned, or there was some invasive species that ruined all their crops, or it was something like that. Now, this isn't an isolated thing where it's yeah, but that was a one-off story that people like to tell in, botany and DNR classes. While there are populations that are completely useless and serve no purpose, they have no predator and they're just there to exist, mosquitoes are one of them, unfortunately. They actually provide nothing, and bats and frogs or whatever would just eat something else is the best estimation. So if we wiped out mosquitoes, it would actually do nothing to the environment. That's the best estimation from a lot of scientists and studies and biologists and even computer modeling. But then we've got oh, we just don't like this wolf or whatever because it's aggressive and it affects us. Well, it goes down the food chain, goes up the food chain, and then nature would readjust, but in the meantime, it is going to be an absolute catastrophe. So people always say, well, invasive species were yeah, pythons would never have made it to Florida. They cannot swim across the entire ocean. But people brought them in as pets, and then they released them, or they escaped, or whatever, and now we've got pythons everywhere, all over Florida. I think I got the species right. It's some snake. And then they're attacking and eating small mammals, and then their numbers are going down, and mice and rats, okay, we make the hawk population go down. That's not a very high sensitivity one. And mice and rats don't really do that much as far as eating vegetation. It wouldn't be the end of the world. And right now it's just annoying, bad, and dangerous. But then we've got the first example. So what would cause this? Let me just talk about, what I fit into almost every video, which is the types of collapses. I've talked about the exotic one that would be very interesting, potentially polite, and not that bad. Even though it is that bad, some kind of radiation thing or some, I don't know what it would be. A gamma ray burst would just light the entire atmosphere on fire. So I don't know what this would be, but worldwide, everybody on the surface gets killed by something. And then anybody in a basement or underground or the ninth wall into a concrete building, they survive. So 5-10% survival, everybody instantly dead. Well, there would be so many resources, cars, infrastructure, water, technology. I mean, it's not like a nuke went off. It's not like everything got leveled. It's not like the moon crashed into the planet. The air is still breathable. I mean, you're going to have a labor shortage and your company just collapsed. Nobody has a job and everybody's just on their own. We're reset to square one here. For the most part, I think people would kind of make communities. But they would do that instead of shooting each other and illegally hunting much because there would just be so darn much canned foods, so much dry goods. I mean, so much rice, oatmeal, just whatever. Like people would just be like, well, okay, this sucks, but hey, don't have to go to work, don't have to pay taxes, woo. But an event like that, I mean, it's not likely. I think the closest we'd probably realistically get is some kind of like Black Plague, but faster. Airborne Ebola, like an actual modified rabies that actually turns people into zombies. Very unlikely. But yeah, we're talking within a month, like overwhelming percentages would be dead. That's what a lot of people picture, but that's not very likely. It's not impossible, but I have an alternative set of scenarios for you. So what I like to describe is a small but wide event where it's not like 1/3 of the population dies in a week or a month. Everybody's pretty much still alive. It's just a collapse. It's a supply line collapse, an economic collapse. It would be weather events that disrupt infrastructure. It would be export events. It would be a pandemic. It would be just plain economic, which we almost got there in 2008 with the housing crisis. Something like that, or massive, massive shortages that cannot keep up with the human population. Shortages on water because of climate changes. I mean, this year is going to be real doozy with El Nino coming up because it's going to be the reverse of the, I believe, triple back-to-back-to-back La Ninas that we've seen. And now places that didn't have water are going to have it. Places that didn't have it are going to. I think I just said that, whatever, you get it, vice versa. And you think, oh, that's nice, but like, man, a tornado, a hurricane, an earthquake, and then multiple. Let's just say just worldwide over the next 5 years, the number of earthquakes goes up by triple and it starts affecting like big cities and hubs of innovation and starts shutting down like, rail lines and oil pipelines. And like if the port of LA just got destroyed by a thing, that would almost single-handedly sink the entire U.S. economy, which would take the whole world with it. Now imagine that plus earthquakes everywhere else. Imagine the sun, the solar cycle that's going to peak in, I think, like 2027. If that starts affecting something, very, very, very unlikely because we've seen so many cycles like this. But it's stronger than the past, and we don't really know why. But we've only been measuring it for like 100 years. So okay, we'll just say that causes a thing. People around the equator can't go outside. Everybody flees. Everybody's moving around. And then anything produced there is now not. And we've got food shortages, rice shortages, fruit shortages. Terrible example. We really don't really need fruit, but staple stuff, and people have to like change up their farms and they're getting lower yields, and oh boy, like the whole food the food output production worldwide goes down 20-30%. You're going to see complete collapse. I don't see a way out of that except for like hyper governmental control. And if the troops are hungry, they're not going to enforce it. And if they've got guns and the generals are just like, okay, well, this is bad, let's just fend for ourselves and loot, well, then it all falls apart real quick. What do soldiers and troops and cops do when they stop getting fed? They leave and go off on their own and find resources for themselves and their families. So if shortages got bad enough, if a pandemic got bad enough, if something like that happened, but for the most part, for the time being, everybody's still alive, that's just more mouths to feed. That's the canned goods and the dry goods are going to get eaten up real quick. And then, not to mention the economic impacts, where if you work for a place that sells, diamond jewelry, well, you're out of business. You work at a place that farms and slaughters pigs. Okay. You grow corn. Okay, you still got a job. If anything, you just got a raise. But if you sell some dumb crap that people don't need, some entertainment thing, some luxury item, you're out of business. That's like 10, 20, 30% of the economy in some places. So stupid luxury stuff, travel companies, just anything. You're done. You are in big trouble. Well, now we've got all those people out of work and they're stealing from places. They're looting grocery stores. They're completely, starving. And then starvation, lack of sleep, stress, poor sanitation, bad infrastructure. Now you've got widespread famine. You've got outbreaks, everything, because when people are living less cleanly, less tidy, and certain things are getting out of control, garbage collection, who knows, that could be disrupted for a little bit. It just all goes down the toilet real quick, but everybody's still alive. That's why that would be terrible. So let's get back to how this ties into the beginning of the video. I'm not just saying this might happen. This historically every time has happened. You look at like when people were starving in China, what they were resorting to doing, and just go out and catch something the way your ancestors did. No grocery store. Okay, well, I got to feed the kids. Let's go illegally hunt this deer. I don't care if you walk around all day and find one. Well, you're eating that one. Squirrels, rabbits, deer, reptiles, even any of the alligators. People will hunt anything until there is none left or so close to none left that it's a population collapse, where it's like the density of them, they can't come together and communicate. Like with like birds, you know, they can't hear each other's calls, they're too far apart, there's nobody to mate with, there's not a second generation. You don't have to kill every member of a species for it to go extinct, they just have to not be able to find each other. And then they better have adapted to hide from humans better in one generation, which, no. So then you got, you know, all the frogs are dead, all the fish are being fished illegally. And let me just say, illegal hunting methods are illegal because they're too easy. Generally, some of them it's like, oh, this is harmful to the environment, but you throw a stick of dynamite, don't do this, it's illegal. I cannot stress that enough. But like some kind of big pop initial pressure wave explosion into water, all the fish, like they burst their, I don't know, blood vessels or air sacs or I don't know, whatever, and then they all float to the top dead and you can just scoop them up. Fishing with a hook and bait is difficult, and they even put limits on that. Chucking like a bomb into a lake and then just scooping up the fish, but then you get algae out of control, then you get insects out of control, then you get like, it just all cascades, potentially. Now imagine, expand that from one species that people didn't like wolves, to holy crap, it's everything. If it's edible, we're eating it. 300 to 400 million people in America, I think, something around that, all need to eat, and none of them died yet. If the event is just infrastructure, supply lines, and the stores ain't open, it's purely economic, it's purely logistical, it is going to destroy the environment. And we're talking like, not just dust storms, not just, oh, this cannot come back, not just oxygen issues, not just like air quality. Now, stuff's going to start lighting on fire. That's a whole other thing. Who's going to put out these giant fires? So then you got ashes. I mean, right now, I can barely go outside because Canada's on fire and it's blowing directly up my nose from like 2,000 miles away, or however, I actually didn't really look where they are. My eyes are burning, my throat is on fire, and I would have trouble like jogging or hiking or riding a bike. Actually, that's why I sound really stuffed up. My throat's kind of messed up today. And that's with medications, which we mostly get overseas. Darn good reason I got 1,500 doses of an allergy medication sitting around. Then you got people like just illegally gathering water in a way that's gonna just ruin the water tables. Now you got lakes drying up, and now the birds died, and then the insects all take over. It just would all go complete and utter disaster. Now the closest I've ever seen to something like this being discussed or portrayed in Hollywood or whatever is really like one other prepper channel. So shout out, you know who you are, talking about this. And then the movie The Road, where it was just, I don't know if they even mentioned what the cause was. It was just, like, now we've got dead trees everywhere. It's just, everything is dead. All the trees are dead. All the stuff that eats the trees are dead. The bugs are dead. There's just nothing. Everybody is starving. Everybody's just trying to walk to somewhere where the environment isn't completely and utterly destroyed. And I think that's the most realistic scenario, is complete and utter, like, biome collapse because people. Because overfishing, because the DNR is not looking around for pythons anymore, because they're not selling tags for deer and keeping them in check. I mean, Asian carp are all over the Great Lakes, and right now we're doing everything we can to try to attack them and, like, I think electrocute them. I've heard of everything, because they are disrupting everything locally, and we're worried about what that will do to the surrounding area here in the Midwest. What if everybody stopped doing that, and then also illegally fished, and then also killed everything around the lake? And then the one that I gotta talk about. Okay, this, I do remember when it was and what it was. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but there was a time in London where everybody was burning coal to heat their houses. Coal has all kinds of sulfur compounds, lead, mercury, all kinds of nasty stuff going up into the smoke, because it's just like, you know what coal is. It's not pure carbon, it's got all kinds of stuff from under the ground in it, that you don't want to breathe in. And so some kind of humidity, dew point, fog thing happened. It's just the perfect storm of everything coming together. And then a toxic fog of toxic compounds blew into the density that it didn't just make people stay inside. It was kind of dense fog. Oh, some old people had a cough. No, people just died. Thousands of people died. It was just like World War I, let's drop the mustard gas, everybody's dead, but in London. This was one of the most horrific man-made high casualty events to ever happen. Now, you might think, oh, those people in the 1700s were idiots. The Great Smog of London, 1952. 4,000 people were just going about their day in their posh urban, living environment. Oh, look at us, we're so modern, look at all this great technology. And then just breathed and died. Because people burnt the wrong thing to just heat their houses. What are people in America going to do? And the answer is burn pine trees. At least in the Midwest, we got pine trees. We're going to cut them down. It's cold. It's winter. Let's go. I mean, not when I'm recording this. It's actually like 94 degrees out. But in the winter, I mean, you got to sleep sometime. You can only insulate stuff so well. You got to boil water and cook something. So everybody's going to light these fires, and it's going to put like creosote and smog and carbon monoxide and just all kinds of horrible stuff that you wouldn't get right now, which is electricity and, fairly clean-ish power plants. I mean, they're not spewing out like sulfur dioxide, spewing out CO2. That's a whole different story, but acid rain in the Great Smog of London, okay, we ain't going to see that twice. Unless everybody starts just burning wood. And like I said, everybody's still alive, so everybody's going to do it. You will take whatever's flammable around that isn't like varnished furniture, because most people aren't that stupid, and burn it. It'll be grass. It'll be like anything dead, any kind of dry branches. And if 100 million people do that nightly to boil water, holy crap. The air is going to be unbreathable downwind of like California. You're going to get acid rain that kills the crops. It's just, if there is an event where it's small but wide, there's a supply line collapse and everybody's starving and everybody needs the basic needs, every individual person lighting fires, hunting for stuff, gathering water, fishing illegally, within a couple years, the air will just kill people. The environment will just be one catastrophe after another. It will just be dust storms. It will be invasive stuff, insects, swarms of things, completely out of control. It won't be the starvation that gets you. You might think, oh, I've got my bug out place and I'm out in a rural area and we're 50 miles from anywhere. I've got solar, I've got all this. Cool, you need air, right? You need something to eat, right? You need acidic rain to not come down and kill the entire forest around your cabin, right? People never talk about it and they just don't understand. If everybody's still alive, everybody's going to die. It's really just that simple. And I know it's blunt, it's terrible, it's a horrible thought, and it's the most likely scenario to happen is just a complete and utter supply line, not enough to go around, monetary economic collapse. And at the current population densities and with historic stuff, like what happens when one too many people burn this fuel, what happens when one too many people have to go hunting and kill deer and kill rabbits and squirrels, that level of disruption, there's no more fish. There's no more anything. The predators go completely, they starve. I mean, then plants start going out and then just everything collapses. Now all of a sudden you've got dead forests. They're lighting on fire. They're rotting. You got methane, and that would cause unbelievable levels of actual rapid calculable global warming, because methane is like 500 times worse than CO2. So if everything turned into dead, rotting swampland, and then at the same time the trees stop recycling CO2 into oxygen, we're just all gonna die. I can't even name a place or a way that like humans would survive other than like a tropical island somewhere really, 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 really far away from wind that comes from land. I guess, I mean, it wouldn't be extinction, but it would be close enough. So the question is, what can we do about it? And the answer is nothing. And on that cheery thought, I guess I'll end the video. This is why the Prepper channel is like, hey, if something goes down, you'll be all set. If you got some rice, you got some this, you got some beans, you got some seeds, you got a water filter, you'll be good. When the entire planet turns on you because humans destroy it in order to not die, there's nowhere left for you to go. Nobody talks about this because they don't like there not being an answer. It's like, what is the perfect solution to school shootings? There isn't one. I don't know, time travel? Mind reading? If a person decides I'm going to harm other people, you could ban every gun, explosive, everything. You better ban oxygen, fire, matches, rubbing two sticks together, all flammables, all poisons, no more antifreeze, no more like, you are not going to stop someone. All cars, you can just ram a car into a crowd. I mean, it's just, people don't like to talk about things when the answer is there is no solution. You just try to prevent it, do everything you can, and realize that you're not going to stop 100%. You got to grow up and move on. The world's not perfect. It's just, it is what it is. But this concept that just like, if not enough people die in a giant global collapse, then we're all going to die, it'll keep you up at night. Because there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide, and no matter what you do, it's gonna come for you eventually. So why am I making this video when nobody wants to hear it? One, because we tell the truth on this channel, and two, because I am so sick of those stupid channels talking about, I actually can't wait for the collapse because I don't like the governments, I don't like the current president, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like technology, I'm old, I'm smarter than all my neighbors, and I'm gonna do so much better than them. First of all, I hope you like doing your own dental work. You have like anesthetics and stuff, right? And you're going to be in perfect health and you're not going to be 1 in 3 people who gets cancer in their life. And you're never going to break your leg, you're never going to need surgery, you're never going to poison yourself, you're never going to need antibiotics. Really? What fantasy pretend video game land are you going to live in, you dumbass? I am so sick of preppers where they're like looking forward to the collapse because they'll be the king of it. Oh, they'll have so many resources, but somebody's going to shoot you in the back of the head, you moron. Nothing good is going to come to a collapse. And if you're like, no, I'm going to be out in the middle of this and we've got this group and everything's planned and we've got a bunker underground and cool. What are you going to do when every single living thing dies? Every vegetation, every mammal, everything, because people just blew the entire natural system completely up irreparably. And there's nothing left but aggressive weeds, useless plants, and invasive species. And the air and the water are poison and there's nothing you can do about it. What exactly is your plan then? So I would recommend people stop looking forward to this big collapse because it's due any time now and I'm going to do so well at it because I'm so prepared. If you listen to those people, if you kind of get that general vibe from another prepper channel, unsubscribe. They're just too stupid, unrealistic, and they're just some, macho idiot. They're probably the type of person who also open carries a gun because they like intimidating people, and they just need to come down off their little testosterone bender and get a clue about what reality is really like. I'd love to take those people and just ship them off to Syria for a week or Afghanistan or the worst of the worst African countries and then say, this is your life now. You have to survive this. Is this fun? You having fun yet? Or did you realize that with all the upsides and all this, I'm a man and my brain tells me to build and hunt and I get such a rush from that. That is extremely beneficial to our survival and I think very positive. I'm not toxic masculinity. No, 100% the opposite. But let's keep it in check. Are there some downsides to not being able to go to the doctor, the dentist, your work, the grocery store? Could there perhaps be some downsides to that? Where one little bit of contaminated water from some fertilizer, from some runoff from some place 10 miles away would kill you instantly, could that perhaps be seen as a downside to me building cabins? Ooh, I can build a chair and a smoking rack out of bamboo. Wow, this is going to be so easy. God, those people piss me off. So I'm getting a little heated, but honestly, those people are the reason I made this video. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. Why would I make a video that just angers people and makes them unsubscribe because they don't want to hear what I have to say? But if you're a mature grown-up adult, mentally, I really don't care what age you are. There's a lot of immature, stupid man children running around, and there's a lot of I know that the world's going to hell in a hurry, 14-year-olds out there. So hey, welcome in everybody. But yeah, if that's you, I would just encourage you to do everything you can to vote the right people in, fight the wrong policies, don't let the wrong people get in the wrong, seats of power. In your local school board on up to your president, on up to globally. Make sure the wrong corporations don't have monopolies over money or resources or food. Do whatever you can to fight that within the law, obviously. I'm not saying, time to do an uprising. That's just stupid. But vote. Tell people about it. Talk about it. Talk about politics at the dinner table. Alienate your friends by telling them the truth. It doesn't matter because this is more important than your stupid relationship with some narrow-minded idiot who doesn't want to hear the truth. Get out there, get on the ground, vote correctly, and learn skills that can, help you out of a Great Depression level where we're on the edge of complete and utter collapse where people just start shooting each other, stealing everything, and ruining the environment, and dropping dynamite on fish. I think the most important thing to being a prepper is be prepared for anything. It could be the building's on fire, we gotta get out. It could be a mass shooting. It could be a weather event. It could be a tornado. It could just be localized to just your area. It could be a pandemic with high or low death rates and how governments respond accordingly. It could be this, it could be that, it could be a war, it could be you living in Ukraine and be prepared for that and have the skills to get out of that because that affects your safety and tornadoes happen way more often than World War III does. I don't know if you noticed that. Be prepared for the small scale stuff and then equally important, do everything you possibly can within your power and influence and resources to stop a global collapse from happening. To stop an enormous, World War III breakout where it just ruins everything for everybody. Because no matter where you think you can hide and how good you think you are with your skills, the entire world and all of nature will turn on you and it's just a ticking time bomb and it will not get better. There are chemicals in storage right now that if they leaked out, oh my gosh, there goes your entire state. Nothing is ever going to grow again. When it starts affecting the jet stream and animals can't migrate and just all these things I didn't even mention that all go together, there is nowhere within reason you can go. Life on Earth for humans is going to get cranked up to hard mode real quick. we're talking 1 to 2 to 3 years complete and utter collapse of everything, because everything is so sensitive and it adjusts on like the decade to century scale. Like, there used to be this type of tree and this type of plant out in California or the Northeast or whatever, and now there isn't, because some little trend with this little thing happened, and this, this volcano and that earthquake and this, trend with the wind and the currents, and okay, but that's on the scale of years and years and years and years and years, where it's like, okay, no, we can't quite grow cactuses as far north, I mean, the Earth survived, ice ages and stuff. Like, it can get real cold, it can get real hot. It's just species need to adjust really slowly, at 1 year after another. If everybody goes and shoot all the deer and all the rabbits and all the fish within like a couple months, there's no adjusting. You're going to have dead soil, you're going to have rotting trees, you're going to have no oxygen, you're going to have acid rain, you're going to stuff that humans cannot survive the end period. There's no, maybe it won't happen. No. Go watch the movie The Road. You'll see how bad it is. In fact, I'd recommend everybody go watch that. So, wish this video had a cheery ending. It doesn't. Go try to forget everything I said and prevent it from happening. So thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you at least appreciated being informed of reality, and I'll see you guys next time.